Alright guys, I can't believe this that I'm about to show you. Alright guys, so as you have seen, we've been having a lot of trouble keeping the head sealed on this little stock block LS. So today we're going to take it apart and see what we find, and then we're going to make some changes that will hopefully fix that issue for us. So I'll talk a little bit more about our theory behind that and what we're actually doing later in the video. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get these heads pulled off and see what the torque is at, or see what the breakaway torque is, in order to get these studs loose, just to have that information, and then just see what we find, see if we can find some spots on the gasket where it has leaked by or what. So I'll get these torn off and then get back with you guys with what I find. Alright guys, so I got all of the studs broken loose. They were kind of all over the place on the torque, so don't really know what to make of that. But in removing the studs, pretty much all of them except for the one that I fixed the thread in and the one that was 1/2 inch were really difficult to get out of the block. It's just really grabbing on those threads, and those threads are just not very happy in the block. And I actually stripped out my hex tool on 2 of them, or a few of them. So there's a few of them that I'm going to have to pull the stud out after I get the head off using a couple nuts. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the heads off and see what we find. Dripping oil all over my shoes. I don't see anything for sure yet, so I don't even know if it was this side, which was the original side that it had the issue on. I misspoke in my last video and said that it was cylinders 3 and 5, but it was actually 4 and 6. So this is where it was leaking last time, but so far I don't really see that it has been there. We'll see if we can find anything on the other side. Alright guys, I'm going to pull this stud out that I couldn't get out with my other tool because I stripped the tool out. So I just wanted to show you guys how difficult this is to get off, which kind of tells us that the threads in the block are not happy at all. Obviously it was bad enough on this one for it to end up stripping out my hex head tool to get this out. So just going to put 2 nuts on here, run them together so it will grab onto that stud. We can use that to back it out, maybe. There we go. See how difficult that was? And I'm having to put quite a bit of force on this wrench, and this is a pretty decent sized wrench. And of course these are supposed to be able to be hand tightened, not using a pretty good sized wrench with quite a bit of force. So it lets us know that these threads in this block are not very happy, which is kind of to be expected using these CA625 studs that are still 11mm stock size, but they torque to 110 foot-pounds, so that puts a lot of stress on those threads. And this block has had the heads retorqued quite a few times, so those threads have a lot of wear on them. There we go, got that off and out of there. So now I will take these nuts off and then go do that on the other side, the other 2 that are stuck. Alright guys, so I was able to get everything apart and cleaned up a little bit. Didn't see anything too spectacular, but it just looked a lot like last time. It just wasn't happy. So what we're going to be doing today is swapping over to 1/2-inch head studs. You've heard me mention a little bit about the threads and stuff like that. Anyways, I want to say a huge thank you to friend Fluffy. He's got Fluffy's Performance, or Fluffy's Repair and Performance. I will tag his Facebook page in the top of the description. He's the one that allowed me to borrow this kit from him, which is the TIC Performance kit for going over to 1/2-inch head studs. So since I was able to borrow this kit, I'm able to do this myself here at home, save a little bit of time and money. So really appreciate him for letting me borrow this. Now I will kind of explain what our thought process is behind going to the 1/2-inch studs. So you've heard me mention multiple times, of course, about how the threads in the block were and how they were very sloppy feeling, and you've seen how difficult it was for me to get the stud, the old CA625 stud, out of the block. That's just because of how bad the threads are in the block. And the reason for that, of course, is because the CA625 studs, they are still a stock size, so that's going to be 11 millimeter, and they torque to 110 foot-pounds. So that 110 foot-pounds of torque is pulling pretty hard on that small of a thread size, especially in cast aluminum like this block is, which, you know, one of the benefits of the aluminum, of course, is it being much lighter, but one of the downsides is it's not going to be as rigid as an iron block, and the threads are one place where you'll really see that, and it's pretty common to pull threads out, and that's exactly why it happened to us in Houston, because the block is just too weak to hold what we're trying to do. And also, the more times that you go through a torque sequence and the more times you're running those head studs in and out, and, you know, putting that load on them, taking it off, putting that load on them, going through that process over and over again, that is putting more and more stress on those threads in the block. So our current thought process is, since nothing else seems to be giving, there doesn't seem to be any other place for it to be giving up, allowing cylinder pressure into the coolant. It seems that the threads in the block are just not able to allow the stud to do what it's supposed to do and hold tension and keep that head down with the amount of pressure that it should have. And going to the hoops could have possibly made that issue even worse because of the fact that we're now having to use that top fuel hoop and crush that copper gasket down into the O-rings in the sleeve. And when you're doing that, that's of course putting even more stress on the studs. So that is the current thought process on why we are having so many issues keeping the head sealed. So what we're going to do to fix that is we are going to the 1/2-inch stud, of course. I will put up a picture to show you a comparison. We are actually going to a slightly longer 1/2-inch stud, and the whole reason behind going to the 1/2-inch stud is because we can get more thread engagement in the block with the 1/2-inch stud. Not only because, of course, it's a larger diameter, but this stud we're going to also has a longer threaded area that goes into the block. So that's going to give us a lot more grip onto the block, and also going to 1/2-inch is going to be, you know, drilling out the old threads, and then we are going to be tapping into fresh aluminum that has, or, you know, fresh cast aluminum that has not been damaged like the original threads have. So we could have probably also done inserts in every hole and still used the CA625 studs, but as you can see the difference, there is a lot more thread engagement with a 1/2-inch stud. So hopefully that will fix our issue and allow us to turn this thing up and get that 6-second pass. So anyways, once again, huge thank you to Fluffy for allowing me to borrow this kit. I'm going to go ahead and get started and start doing the most fun thing, which is drilling on a very nice engine block. So anyways, I'll get this done and update you guys a little bit later. Alright guys, just wanted to share some extra fun that I got to have. Everything was going relatively easy, so I was a little bit concerned, but thankfully we ran into something to make it a little bit more difficult. Joking, of course, but we knew this was going to be a possibility. But with that, having to drill deeper for the longer studs, we did end up running into the front cover, or into the inside of the front cover, just barely, in order to get the depth that we need. So had to take everything apart in order to be able to watch that and make sure that I clean all of the metal shavings out before we run the engine again. So just wanted to show you guys that real quick. Up enough for it to not run, so that's a good sign. Alright guys, it's been a little bit since the last clip, but as you can see, the car is now running, so hopefully we are all good to go. Going to go ahead and do another retorque on these cylinder heads, and then hopefully we'll be good to try it out. So we're going to be going to a track rental at Texas Motorplex here in a couple days. Originally, whenever I started this video and was getting everything done, it was planning to make it to Streetcar Takeover Dallas, but unfortunately that ended up raining out, and it's hard to find quarter-mile radial prep, which is what I need to get this done. So I just had to kind of wait it out until this rental is coming up. So hopefully the weather will hold out for it, as it's not looking great either, but we'll see. I apologize for the delay in videos. It's just been pretty discouraged with all the weather and all the issues we've been fighting with this thing, and missing a lot of the local no prep races and stuff like that I would like to be doing right now. So anyways, we're going to hopefully make it to the rental at Texas Motorplex, and hopefully we can get that 6-second pass done. Alright guys, I'm out here at Texas Motorplex for a track rental today. I'm chasing that 6-second pass again, so let's see what we can do. I swapped over to the 1/2-inch head studs, as you guys seen in the last video, so I'm hoping that that's going to allow us to make the power that we need to get down the track fast enough. Of course, as you guys may have seen in our previous videos, I've been 708 at 193, and that was a 450/68, and I've been 453 after that, but I wasn't able to make it all the way down to the end. So the tune-up that I have in it to start off should be good enough to get that 6-second pass done. Should be right around a 450, maybe a high 440. We'll find out, and hopefully we can keep the heads down. That's the issue that we've been fighting so far. So anyways, I'm gonna get ready, get up there and make a hit, and we'll see what happens. You're probably not going to be able to see the time pop up on the board because there are some no time cars here testing at this test session as well, so I believe they have the boards off, but anyways, we'll see what we can do. Alright guys, so the spool test went fine as you've seen, but on the way up to make the first pass, I noticed the car would not go into first gear, and sometimes second gear would actually drop down into neutral. So I knew that I had an issue with the shifter cable, so turned around, brought it back to the pit, jacked the car up, and readjusted the shifter cable to make sure the shifter had the transmission in the right spot for first and second gear, so we didn't hurt the transmission. to put my visor down again. I'm gonna have to give myself a sticky note or something. I also forgot to plug my headlights back in. One little hiccup at one point of the run, I feel like. Man, I hope that didn't screw it. This is a fun part of a track run. You get to wait until your slip gets to you. Alright guys, I can't believe the slip that I'm about to show you, and yeah, anyways, I'll put that up on the screen. So wow, that is this thing is really trying my patience, but on a positive note, we did go 108 to the 60 foot, so that's a new best by like 0.015. So that's really cool. That's awesome actually. That's very fast to the 60 foot, so I'm really happy with that. We repeated that 295 to the 330 from that pass where it hit the safety at the 330 the last time out here at this track. Then we went 450 with a 9, which that's also cool, but I would like that to be just slightly lower, to be that 449. And then also I went over 160 miles an hour to the 8, 160.8 miles per hour. So that is super impressive, super happy with that. So basically I've hit just about all my goals except for that very last, that very last one on the bottom of the slip. So close. There was a little hiccup there in the run, you may have noticed, and that was actually, once again, something coolant pressure related, but this time a little different. I think it just wants to, mess with me at this point. But anyways, I will show you guys the log real quick. That appears to be a sensor issue, which I do just have a cheap sensor on there. I'm probably going to replace it with my low dollar 899 sensor. I have an extra one in here that I keep as an extra for my dome pressure just in case, so I'm going to replace it with that. But I'll show you guys the log real quick, and you can see that large blue spike right there and that little dip in RPM. That was coolant pressure. So you can see the coolant pressure is actually reading 0 there, and then it spiked up and maxed out the sensor. So that was definitely a reading issue. And then from here on out, it was pretty low at the very highest, like just over 20 psi. So that is incredible right there. That is exactly what we're looking for as far as coolant pressure. Other than that little hiccup there, I think it's just picking on me. It just wanted to get at me one more time, I guess. So I'm probably going to remove the safeties from that now, or at least make them to where they can't be quite as aggressive, since it was good there. And I'm going to run a very similar tune-up. I may get after it a little bit more after the 60 foot, because looking at it there, the boost came in pretty quickly. It was like 26 pounds at 0.8, but then it was kind of slow getting from that 26 up to like 33, 34 pounds. It didn't get there until like 1.8 seconds. So we can definitely bring that in sooner. So I think that is what I'm going to try and do for the next one, and I'll probably put a little bit more in it from the 8th mile on, just to see if we can get that 200 miles per hour too. And yeah, we'll see what it'll do. Man, this thing is fighting hard, but we're right there. So, and the good thing is we're right there, and we can make another pass. We don't have something showing up in the log to scare us and make us not be able to make another pass. We don't have water dripping out of it or anything like that. So that's a good sign. Anyways, we're going to make those little changes, get it turned up just a little bit more early, or not early necessarily, but a little after the 60 foot there, in between there and the 330. I think it can definitely take some more there, and then a little bit more out the back, like I said, and we'll send it down through there again, and hopefully we can get this monkey off of our back. So anyways, let's see what happens. Oh man, I hope that was it. I really hope that was it. I am tired of making quarter-mile passes. Oh man. Oh. Oh. No hiccups on that one. Everything seemed good. Left good. Oh, that has to be it.
Jesus, if that's not it.
Hey, run that other left lane. I'm gonna let this drive. That ain't it, I'll be mad.
$6.99. He wanted 200 miles an hour, but I'll take it.
Take that one.
I'll take it. What do you think it was?
I think it's a 6 because you get the freaking camera on and you're not obsessed. Oh my God, barely. Oh.
The mile per hour wasn't there, but at least the 6 was there.
I do not care. Oh my gosh. Oh. Wow, 161 to the 8th though. Wow.
You're flying.
Oh, I am so done with quarter mile.
And Pete Harrell personally watched you and said he remembered your car.
Oh really? I didn't know he was here.
He was up there watching. He was right there. And he said, I said, do you remember this car from Chicken? He was like, yeah, that's what I'm watching right now. Because you're the truck that he was tuning is right behind you.
Oh.
But yeah.
Wow.
He had walked up already. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. Was a guy up there, yeah, okay, so you have your chute shoved in. He said like he saw your chute deploy, but that it did nothing.
It didn't at first, but then it did.
Oh, okay.
And then it was freaking like...
Yeah, he said it was all twisted and just like kind of wobbling around and not actually.
It definitely still, but yeah, that makes sense because it was like throwing me side to side.
Yeah.
But it was slowing me down hard. Alright guys, so as you've seen, we finally got that 6-second pass done. Just barely too. Man, I can't believe how close it was. It almost didn't do it. I really was trying to go faster than that because I didn't want to be right on that verge of barely making it happen, but that's what happened. But hey, as long as it got it done, I'm cool with that. So anyways, I'll show you guys the slip, of course, compared to the previous slip. As you can see, it just picked up to the 8th mile a decent amount, exactly the same to the 330. It actually went a little bit slower to the 60 foot, which it's possible that that was just bumping in deeper or anything like that. that can make a difference there. Didn't do that 200 miles per hour that I was going for, but that's all right with me. I am completely done with quarter mile stuff. I have no interest in making any more quarter mile passes. The log looks pretty good until near the end. It looks a little bit sketchy with the coolant pressure. It looks like we got a bit of a rise there at the end, so it's not too crazy though, and it wasn't enough to where it would have caught the safety. Even if the safety was turned on, I did end up just turning it off just because I was just worried about that sensor acting up, or that it was possibly something in the wiring. However, looking at this little bit of a spike, it doesn't look like it was anything in the sensor or anything like that. So we're going to have to look into that and see what we can figure out there. But you know, I'm just happy that finally we got that 6-second pass done. I did not expect it to be near as hard as it was, but it's done now. We can say we have a 6-second stock block LS, and I am completely happy with that. So anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video.